And we're live. Welcome, everyone. Today, we're going to be going over 3 games of mine that I just thought were fun or otherwise instructive. I just wanted to do a quick stream, show you guys something. I'm too lazy to prepare like real material or lessons or anything, so when I'm too lazy to prepare anything, that's when I show you my games, because I already know them and I don't have to prepare anything. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing today. We're just going to take a quick pause, make sure people are here. I'm going to refill my chips. Got my bag of Tostitos scoops. Very good. I don't know if this is outside of New York, but in New York we have this this wholesale store called BJ's. It's a lot like Costco. And they give you really good deals on these bags of chips. You get it's a 2 for $6 deal, so you get 2 enormous bags of chips for $6. Pretty good. Wholesale clubs, man, that's the way of life. I love wholesale clubs. I love getting deals on my food. That's my jam. It's also why I have like 2 enormous jars of pickles in my fridge, and I don't even really like pickles, but man, they were cheap. What do you want me to do? You're gonna sell me 2 enormous jars of pickles for real cheap? Yeah, I'll buy them. I don't even like pickles. How much is the wholesale club? The membership is... Oh, that's a good question. I think I paid $50 on the year. I'm trying to remember because I live nearby, and so they delivered like a half-price membership thing to my door. So I'm trying to remember if the membership was originally $100 and I paid $50, or if the membership was originally $50 and I paid $25. I think I actually only paid $25 on the year for the membership to the wholesale club, which is a really good deal. I'm sure I've saved at least $25 shopping there. So yeah, man, if you have a wholesale club near you, check it out. They're really awesome. Anyway, I have... Oh, how much chips are in the bag? I'm looking for like a size or something. 14 5/8 ounces. So almost a pound of chips. Or there are 15 servings, and each serving is about 13 chips, which means that would be 195 chips in total. 195 chips. Pretty good. Anyway, we're going to get started. I have 3 games today. They're not related in the slightest. I didn't plan this at all. I just felt like doing something fun. Share with class? Yeah, good luck. I'll feed you chips through the webcam. Here you go, class. That fucked with my webcam a little bit. So yeah, I have 3 games. And this first game was bizarre. I was playing an expert rated like 2070. He's been over 2100. He's a good player. But this game made me go like, why are you an expert? It was ridiculous. This was like the stupidest game I've ever played. But the reason I actually wanted to share it is I had a nice calculation in this game. So when we get to there, we'll have a nice think and we'll calculate a little bit. So I played white in this game, and my opponent played the Nimzo Indian, and this is only my 2nd time having the Nimzo Indian in the over the board game, which is sort of bizarre because I'm gonna start every game with d4, c4, knight c3 as white, and the fact that I've only faced the Nimzo Indian twice is very strange. So yeah, this was I was glad to see the Nimzo, although I don't. Why knight c3? Because I don't. I prefer to play the exchange Queen's Gambit declined. So If I play knight f3 and d5, now I get an inferior version of the Queen's Gambit decline. If you watch my stream on the QGD exchange, first off, you should if you haven't. But this is considered inferior because the knight can no longer go to e2, which is really the best square for the knight in these exchange QGD positions like this. So yeah, this is this knight on f3 is not really where it wants to be in these positions. So that's why I play knight c3. I allow the Nimzo, and I'm actually fairly comfortable with the Nimzo. If you want a response to the Nimzo, I've got one on this channel. I play the f3 Nimzo Indian. And if you want to learn more about the f3 Nimzo Indian, I covered it pretty in depth. And my opponent played a very strange move. But considering his follow-up, it's actually not a bad move. My opponent played the move bishop takes c3, check. And this is a little bit strange because normally the black player waits for white to spend a tempo playing a3, and then he'll take on c3 and be like, okay, you wasted a move. Now this is fine. But this instantaneous bishop takes c3 is a little strange. However, this is not so unheard of. If we there's a line that I should show that goes c5, d5, d6, e4, and in this position, it's actually possible for black to play this this move, bishop takes c3, unprompted. And the reason is black is going to sort of play against this lock structure. In fact, the main move here for black is e5, just cementing these weaknesses. And this is a playable line for black. And the reason is white has more space in the center, but he does have these weaknesses that he has to contend with. He also has the two bishops, but this bishop is fairly bad. We can try and free it later on, but so this is not an unheard of position. So here, here this bishop takes c3 move was a little weird, but my opponent followed up logically by playing c5, and he's sort of aiming for this position, just via a different move order. So I thought for a couple minutes here, I ended up playing d5, which basically transposes into that other position we saw. It is possible to play e4 here. I was just worried that after knight c6, black would get like a very quick version of the same-ish. For instance, if I go d5, now black gets knight a5, and he's very quickly going to go b6, bishop a6. And I can play e5 here and force knight g8. This is a bit of a unique position. It's a strange move order. I wasn't convinced that white was a whole lot better here. White has a massive center, but it wasn't totally clear to me that I could actually support this center. I feel a little bit overextended here. Like those pawns are pretty far away from home. I haven't developed any pieces. This knight is maybe coming to e7, and then to c6 if I play d6. So yeah, I wasn't so sure about this position. So that's why I played d5, which actually does accept a transposition back to theory. My opponent played d6, and I played e4. And here's where the ridiculousness started. So my opponent here, I don't really understand. My opponent's, he's been 2100. He's not a bad player. But he thought for like 3 minutes and played knight takes e4. And it's just a losing move. There's nothing more to say about this. There's clearly not enough compensation for this. This is an idea in certain lines. I think the main line for this is after f3, castles, a3, takes. I think here, after like b6, no, it's after f3, castles, e4. Then this is a real thing. In this position. This is a real move in this position. And the point is here, black is castled. This bishop is still on the board and exerting pressure. So this position can get a little hairy for white. That king's going to go walking. But yeah, in this position, first of all, you're not castled. Second of all, you're sacrificing your only developed piece. I cannot explain this. I just can't explain it. So I like sort of stared in shock at the board for 2 minutes, and then I'm like, why am I just staring at this? I should take the piece. If I don't take the piece, it's ridiculous. Okay, he goes queen h4 because that's his point. No, I don't like this guy, so I didn't really talk to him. I'm sure he's a nice person. I'm annoyed because I think he plays bad chess, but I have a -2 score against him. So it's not his fault. I'm just personally annoyed with him. I'm sure he's a lovely man. I played king d2 because I have to move the king. G3 is a blunder. This is a classic blunder. If you play g3, the takes is going to be an old forkaroni. So it's time to move the king. And my opponent took on e4. So here, my opponent has sacrificed a piece for 2 pawns and queen activity. But at this point in the game, I was like, this is ridiculous. And the reason is, black has literally no development except for his queen. Now, you could argue that I have no development except for my king. But when you develop your queen early, the big downside is the queen's going to get attacked and attacked and attacked. So I'm just going to bully this queen with tempos. So let me ask, this is going to be the first question of the chat. What move would you start with here to start unraveling? How are we going to prove that this sacrifice is total bullshit? Bishop d3, winning a tempo, hanging your g-pawn with check. Now, you have knight e2 here, so it's not all lost. But I don't know if hanging the g-pawn with check was the best idea in the world. Now, is this position still good for white? Clearly. Here as black, I would probably play queen g5, like queen e7 or something, to just get out of dodge. Because otherwise, like, moves like rook g1 are coming, and that's a problem. And so, this is clearly better for white, probably winning. But I think I played simpler. Queen f3 is certainly playable. Queen f3 is certainly playable. Yeah, queen f3. I have to dodge the queen trade. I just can't allow it. But it's not so easy to play as black, right? Maybe after queen f3, I can actually take this. But yeah, I mean, the sacrifice is so stupid that white can play any sensible move and just be winning. So in the game, I chose knight f3, which I think is very sensible. And my point behind knight f3 is I want to play bishop d3 and win a tempo, but I'm just going to do it when you can't take my g-pawn. I think this is a very sensible move. I think queen f3 is also a good move. I think bishop d3 is fine. You're still winning, but like, why give him anything? I'll play bishop d3 next move. He played a bad move. So he's played a terrible sacrifice and then followed it up with a terrible move. He took this pawn. So he's trying to grab more material. He's trying to get 3 pawns for the piece. If I recapture, he'll take and with check and have 3 pawns for the piece, which it's still ridiculous, but it's at least a little bit more reasonable. So after e takes d5, what do we play? Bishop d3, of course. Beautiful. Win that tempo. And the problem for black is the queen cannot move and defend the pawn. So if he was thinking of winning this pawn, he's not winning this pawn. It's just not going to happen. So he moved his queen. Note that any check on these squares actually helps me because I get my king over and then my bishop is free. So it's not really in his interest to give this sort of check. Went queen g4. And now he does have a threat. He's threatening to take my g-pawn with check. So I played... Yeah, I think he's sort of a guy who plays on intuition. Like he really doesn't calculate. He plays very quickly. But I think maybe he was tired or something, or just his intuition was off today. It happens. That's what happens when you play on intuition. That's why you actually need, when you're making committal decisions, it's not enough to be like, this is probably good. You actually have to calculate when you're making committal decisions. That's why intuition is a great skill in chess. In chess. But you need more than just intuition. I played queen e2 check because I can, quite frankly. I'm defending my g-pawn. I'm attacking his king. I actually thought the best move for black in this position was queen e6. Just because other moves appear to be close to losing. So, yeah, I mean, this is still losing, but everything else is losing. Here I can take this pawn back. And now we're going to trade queens. And it's just an endgame where I have a piece for 2 pawns. And this pawn is ridiculously weak. It's really bad. So, okay, queen e2 check. My opponent played logically from this point. He played king d8. He can't really submit to the queen trade. Notice that if he plays bishop e6, I will take a second piece. I like being up 2 pieces. That's my kind of game. So bishop e6 is unplayable. He played king d8. So now we see really the problem with this sacrifice. He sacrificed a piece for 2 pawns and to sort of disrupt my king. But now his king has been disrupted as well. So that's not good. So let me ask, as white, what would you play here? Yago says rook e1. Any other ideas? Music Dan likes rook e1. Yeah, I played rook e1. I think it's the best move. It threatens mate in 1. That's good. Also, it prevents black from activating his pieces. He can't play rook d8 anymore. If I don't play rook e1, say I take this pawn. Black can actually play rook e8, and black can pretend like he has active pieces. It's still winning for white. But, you know, why allow black to pretend like he has active pieces? So, After rook e1, yeah, if black plays knight c6, that's not going to end well. That's really not going to end well. That's just a losing position. The knight cannot move because of the mate threat. I guess here knight e5 is forced, but again we just get this pathetic endgame. For this is just dead lost. So my opponent chose not to play knight c6, which is correct. If he plays knight c6, he's lost, and instead played bishop e6. So here I started to go in the tank. And the reason I was going in the tank is I was considering two moves here. And I wasn't sure exactly how important the move order was. I obviously was considering this move. Very clear move. You have to consider just clearing this file. So I was considering this move, c takes d5. But I also had eyes on this strange little move, h3. And the reason I had eyes on this move, h3, is because it's shown in the variation. After c takes d5, bishop takes d5, queen e7 check, king c8. I would love, in this position, to play the move bishop f5 check. That would hurt. The move bishop f5 check would be a painful move. So, in the original position, I started asking myself, hey, can I poke this queen off of this f5 square somehow? Can I get rid of that queen somehow? What's an active piece? That's a good question. An active piece, I would say, is a... It's a good question. How do I word this? An active piece is a piece that has a lot of scope on the board. Like, it has a lot of range. So, if we go back to that example with the rook on d8, right now, the rook is not active. It can't really go anywhere. He's not doing anything. But when the rook's on e8, this is a very active piece because this rook has a lot of range, a lot of possibilities. Yeah, a piece that sees a lot of squares. The rook on h8 doesn't see really any squares. The rook on e8, he's seeing a whole lot. He's a big active rook. That's a good question. And it's interesting. It took me a little bit to put that into words. Yeah, that's what I mean by active pieces. So, yeah, we were looking at this variation with takes, queen e7 check, and I want to be able to play bishop f5. So this move h3 was interesting to me. But there were some tough variations to calculate. So the first thing is after h3, there's only two squares for the queen. You can go here or here. Again, giving this check only helps white. So we only have to consider two moves, queen g3 and queen h5. After queen g3, I was interested in taking here. However, I thought here black would just go bishop d7 and say, now this check is really nothing. I'm going to play like rook d8. So I was like, I'm not sure about this. Now after h3 and queen h5, black is still covering the f5 square. What's my FIDE? My FIDE is terrible. My FIDE is like 1800. My USCF, which is a better indicator, is 2100. So after queen h5, the logical continuation for white here is to go g4. And this is sacrificing the h3 pawn. So it takes. And here I wasn't so sure, because after takes, now there's bishop takes g4. And all of a sudden, this isn't really what I wanted. Actually, just a note, I missed something in this position, which would have been very strong. The computer pointed this out to me. This is what I calculated. But after queen h5, g4 takes, I have this really annoying move, knight g5. Totally missed this. This was not on my radar whatsoever. This is like winning. Just winning. Yeah, I totally missed this. It hits everything in the world. And black is basically lost. Like, I don't know what black does here. I just don't know. If you go queen h6, I just go king c2, protect my knight. And now I'm threatening discovered checks. So, yeah, I missed this knight g5 move. It's a good move. But instead, because of these two variations that I saw, I opted to take on d5 first. Which I think is the best move. I think h3 is also fine, but no, these are my tournament games. These are my over-the-board games. I played this yesterday. Yesterday. I played this yesterday against an expert. I feel like he can play better than this. I really don't know what happened. And my opponent took on d5. He probably shouldn't, but if you're gonna sacrifice a piece for 2 pawns, it doesn't really make sense to like grovel. Because here now I'm just winning. I just go like c4, rook b1, bishop b2, and all my pieces are really active. Yeah, total mess. So my opponent took, and here I actually spent 30 minutes. I spent 30 minutes in this position. And the reason I spent 30 minutes in this position is it wasn't super obvious to me what to do after queen e7 check. And if this doesn't accomplish something, then it might not be a good move, because all of a sudden the g-pawn is loose. So I'm going to give us 2 or 3 minutes, maybe more if we need. I want you guys to calculate from this position. It took me a long time to calculate from this position and come up with a move. But let's calculate for a little bit, 2 or 3 minutes in this position. What would you play as white? White does have a strong continuation here. I love that Twitch account. Maurice Ashley in chat. That's great. I'm going to fill up my water while you guys calculate. We'll take 1 more minute, stir the pot, come up with those ideas. Then we'll see what we got. Maurice, you've never calculated in your life. You know. Know is a strong word. When I played it, I didn't even know. Okay, let's take these ideas one by one. The first idea I saw was rook b1. Now, rook b1, this is my kind of move. And the reason that rook b1 is my kind of move is I'm developing new pieces, and I love developing pieces. However, I think in this case, rook b1 is not the best continuation. And the reason is, after rook b1, you actually have no threat. The threat here is nothing, because this pawn is covered. So, as the white player here, I would really be looking for something like hit you over the head with a pan forceful. Because black has sinned this opening, and when people sin, they deserve to be punished. When I have a monster check here, I'm gonna really look at that, right? This is a monster of a check. So you definitely needed to calculate around this. Getting the king into the corner by moving the queen, aiding it later with the bishop on b5. So that's more like it. Although we haven't posted an exact line, and these positions are incredibly concrete. So having an idea is good, but in these sorts of very tactical positions, you really have to go move by move by move. So, for example, let me take back this rook b1. If I go queen e7 check and bishop b5, the problem is, again, I have no threat. I'm not threatening to play queen d7. It's actually covered twice. I'm not threatening to play queen e8 because this c7 square is available for the king. So black can grab here and then grab the knight and say thank you very much. And I am Archu brings us to the correct line, which was played. After bishop takes d5, I played queen e7 check, king c8, and queen takes d6. Now, Archer's given the best response for black, which is rook d8. But this is not the human response. Archu, did you realize that you're sacrificing a piece? You're sacrificing a piece in this line, which means you better have this calculated very, very well. This line is a piece sacrifice. Queen takes g2 check. And no matter what you block with, you're going to hang the knight. Queen c7, there's nothing supporting the queen. So I saw this too, but you have to calculate past this. The king is in grave danger. You can sack a piece. Rook e2 is correct. I take the sack. Correct. This was all played in the game. And that's a mate threat. And as it turns out, if you play bishop e2, the problem is you're not playing rook e7 is really the problem. If you play bishop e2, you're losing a piece and you're not getting the compensation. Also, notice you can't play bishop f3. There's a pin. Very annoying. And here black might actually be better because there's massive threats for black. Black is threatening rook e8, rook d8. I think black might be winning here. Yeah. So this is not good. So if you're going to play this queen e7 check, queen takes d6, you have to see the piece sacrifice. And you have to see the follow-up. Here's the thing. The reason I'm proud of this calculation is one thing that I struggle with is allowing checks. When I'm calculating, sometimes I like see a check for my opponent. I'm like, no, I can't allow that check. But here, I'm proud that I found this move, rook e7, because black has a lot of checks here. Black has a whole bunch of checks. And you got to be able to find your way through the checks. So there are two lines here. Queen f2 and queen f2 and queen g2 check. The game line is simple. But queen g2 is a little bit more challenging. Because you have to find the correct way out after queen g2. We have it in chat already. Yeah, here you have to go king e1. The point being, if you play the very natural bishop e2, you're actually allowing black to force a queen trade here after queen g5. And the problem is queen g6 is coming. Queen e4? That's an engine move. That's not a human move. So, yeah, after queen g2, if you block with the bishop, things are going south for white here. So after queen g2, you have to find this knight's move, king e1. And the point is, black actually is surprisingly low on checks. There's no check on the e file. There's no check on g3. So black can check on the first rank, but now bishop f1 comes, and you're out of checks. You're out of checks. You have to calculate that black actually runs out of checks. And here you can defend the mating square. You do have this move knight a6, but the queen has surrendered control of an important square. This is mate in 3. Who's got mate in 3 for me? I'll get to that. Who's got mate in 3 for me? Bishop f4 probably mates, if I have to be honest. Come on, forcing moves. Let's go. Boom. That's a forcing move. Boom. That's a forcing move. Boom. It's mate. Bishop f4 probably mates. But forcing moves. Go for those checks. Smack him with the checks. So A question asked is, what's wrong with queen d2 check, bishop e2, queen g5, king e1? Probably nothing. No, there is something wrong. Here, because your king is still here, I have this move knight a6. And you are probably still winning. This is like, these pieces are massive, but you're not immediately winning. And the reason is the queen has maintained contact with the bishop. This bishop is pinned and cannot take the knight, and this bishop is blocked. Queen h4 shouldn't really be an issue. If you go queen g5, king e1, queen h4, I don't know that I care, because here I have king d1. I think the more accurate move is knight a6 there, to avoid the threats. Ooh, queen a4, I missed that one. Okay, yeah, that's annoying. That's annoying. I agree. Queen h4. Can I go king f1? No, queen f6. Yeah, that's annoying. I agree. That's annoying. This might force a repetition or force the queens off. So yeah, this is inaccurate. I don't want to allow this. So this is all if after rook e7, black goes queen g2 check. King f1, white gets mated? How am I getting mated? Yeah, that's the king on h3, right? But black can trade queens here and at least survive, which is sort of his goal. His goal is to like live. He's up 3 pawns, right? So trading queens and black might be winning. Although there are still threats in the position, but yeah, this is not what I want. So my opponent didn't play that. He played what I think is the worst move, queen f2 check. Queen g2 check is a little bit more difficult. But after queen f2, my job is really easy. I go bishop e2, and you don't have a check. Very annoying. Black has no checks. So yeah, that was the easy variation. I spent all this time calculating queen g2 and what happens there, and he goes and plays like queen f2, and I'm like, okay, I got this one. I know what to do here. The position is lost. Black is just lost. So he played knight a6 because he has to defend checkmate. And now it's important to be accurate. What should white play here? Rook b2? The old rookaroo. Yes, rook b2. Good move. So my friend I Am Archu is somewhat suspiciously playing quite a lot of computer lines here. You can go queen d7 check is correct. But rook b1 is a computer move, my man. Rook b1, that's a computer move. What's the human move here? What's the human move after queen d7? Rook b1 is not the human move. Yeah, but there's an obvious move staring at us. Take the bishop. It's a free piece. Threatens mate. That's as Cuban as they get. I want my piece back. I'm threatening mate. Black only has one move here. Queen c6. I fucking love this guy. Rook b1 is better, but it's not a human move. Take your piece. The thing is, black only has one move here, and that's knight c7. King d1. Yes, allowing black to check you forever. That seems like a good idea. If black checks here instead of playing knight c7, that's actually very helpful to me, because now my bishop gets out, and you lose. You really lose now. Just a cute variation. Actually, there is no cute variation. I was looking at queen c7, which is ridiculous. Yeah, you just lose. Like, what do you do here? So you can't give that check. You have to play knight c7. And then queen d6, and what do you do, right? Black can't move any pieces. He has to go rook c8. Black can't move. So I'm gonna speed through the rest of the game. The rest of the game was really, really simple. King c2, trying to develop my bishop. a5, trying to move his pieces. Rook b1. This is a cute move here, because it actually prevents rook a6. Black can no longer play this because I mate. Pawn takes is not possible. Check, check, mate. Blind swine on the 7th. This good old mating pattern. So rook b1 is cute. You can't play rook a6 anymore. So he checked, and I said no. And he checked, and I said no. And then he played a4 because he literally can't move anything. And here, the computer wants me to play rook takes b7 and win, and I'm sure that wins. But I also played sensibly with rook f1. And he goes queen h4, and I take on the 7th, and all my pieces are incredible. And none of his pieces do anything. And I win. He goes c4, takes. I just take it. You lose. There's a fly in my face. cd3, king c1, and he resigned because he can't do anything, and he's just getting mated. Yeah, I'm sure. Rook takes b7. The computer says it's winning. I believe it. I just thought rook f1, like, this made a lot of sense. I mean, at some point, it's like pick your win, right? Pick the way you want to win. I chose the simple way because I didn't feel like even remotely calculating this. But I'm sure it wins. Why did he resign so soon? Dude, I don't know what it is. The guys at the Marshall, they don't resign. It's unbelievable. I said this on stream. I played a master who didn't resign until mate in 2. I was like, what are you doing? The position is lost. Why are you doing this to me? So I don't know what it is, but people don't resign against me. It's annoying. Now, I'm not going to be a dick and like promote to 8 queens or whatever. Everyone always has this discussion. When people refuse to resign, should I promote to 8 queens? No, you should win the game. But it's annoying. Yeah, like anything wins, exactly. Because his pieces are all so ridiculous. Great. Next up is a game I played. I think this game is a lesson in being worse. Because I got a position out of the opening that was horrible. Just a terrible position out of the opening. But when you're worse, you just gotta stick with it, play only moves if you have to, and eventually they fuck up. Did the opponent play better than this one? Much better. My opponent was Davis Zong, who's a really strong 11-year-old. He's an 11-year-old rated 2075. So I've actually showed a game against Davis on this channel before. I'm -2 against Davis. Davis is a beast. And he played pretty well here. He just made a couple mistakes. So it's everyone's favorite, the Queen A5 winnower. I show this a lot on this channel because I play this a lot, and it scores me a lot of points. Because my opponents do suspicious things, but this time I did suspicious things, and then I won anyway because my opponent made some mistakes. So yeah, bishop d2 is the main move. No, he doesn't go for the h4 variation. Here's the thing about Davis. Davis is super duper solid. He's a kid, but he's an incredibly solid player. I really like Davis. I think he's really impressive. He just plays like good, solid chess. He develops his pieces. He gets pieces to good squares, and he wins games off of that. So Queen A4, and it's funny. Oh God, what was I saying? Oh, I've actually played. I know, right? He's gonna be like an IM. He's really good. He's gonna be a master soon. When he's like 12, he'll be a master. In this position, I've played this exact line against Davis before. And he played knight f3 before, which is fine. But again, this is super solid play, right? Davis is developing his pieces. But I think after I played this against him, he went home and learned a real line. He played queen b1, which is one of the most annoying lines to play, because he's threatening to play bishop b5 check. And I don't think I want him to play bishop b5 check. That doesn't seem like something I want. So I kind of have to play c4. And the reason this is annoying is a lot of times black wants to get counterplay against the center by like putting a lot of pieces that attack d4. But when I play c4, I can't get any counterplay against the center anymore. So that means I have to look for new strategic ideas. Yeah, these closed positions are really complicated. And Davis played f4, which is a move I didn't know. And it's interesting. The moment I get out of book, I play a bad move. Well, c4 is forced, and these positions aren't bad for black. The reason these positions aren't terrible for black is because black's queen is out of play. Knight c6 loses a piece. No. If I go knight c6, I do this anyway, and I'm. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm confused. But your queen is in trouble here. Your queen's in a lot of trouble. You have to go queen a5. It's an only move. And now I go c4. And white's developed a lot of pieces. And black hasn't really developed many pieces. This is very bad. It's a good question, though. But yeah, it has to do... If you play knight c6, this queen ends up in a very precarious position after bishop b5. You can't really allow bishop b5 to be played. So a6 does prevent bishop b5. But the trade-off to that is you played a6. And so instead of developing any of your pieces, you played a6. I know this is a move. It's considered not great, but I probably can't tell you why. I think if white proceeds normally, he'll have a good game. Like knight f3. I assume you mean queen b6. Queen b3 maybe as well. But if I just go knight f3, one of the issues here is in these systems, a lot of times you want to play b6 and bishop a6 to trade off the light square bishops. But it's hard to play bishop a6 when you have a pawn on a6. That's difficult. So yeah, this is I would stay away from playing a6. c4 is fine. And the reason c4 is fine, the black queen is stuck over here, but white has two pieces stuck over here. So in the meantime, as long as all three of these pieces stay on the queen side, black can actually bring more pieces to the king side than white can. And that's where sort of the reason why this is even playable for black. My opponent played f4, and I played a bad move. I should play knight c6, which is a normal move. It's a good move. I don't know why I didn't play knight c6. But I have this book by Moskalenko. It's called The Flexible French. It's a great book for French players. In it, I remembered a game where black played f6 right away. Yeah, this light square bishop is great for white. See how all his pawns are on dark squares? My light squared bishop is awful, because all my pawns are on light squares. So that's why the light squared bishop... It would be great for black if black could trade the light squared bishops, because that would be trading his great bishop for my awful bishop. So here I played f6, and I thought I was playing a real line, but in this exact position, f6 is terrible. And my opponent played really well. So what's the move here for white that shows why f6 is terrible? There's a specific move for white that really says, oh yeah, f6 was a bad move. So the reason I would say that white's bishop is better, it's true that our pawns are blocking white's bishop, but white's bishop is attacking the pawns, and our bishop is defending the pawns. And in chess, in general, it's better to be the one like attacking and forcing your opponent to defend. So his bishop is going to force us to defend our pawns, which makes his bishop the better bishop. f5? Oh my god. f5 is ambitious and probably bad. On f5, I'll take it and say, what you got? Because unless you got something good lined up, f5 is not doing what you want it to do. Yeah, here I think this is incorrect. f5 is overambitious. It's like a novelty account for Twitch chat. This is incredible. Who's got to move? Why is f6 terrible? It's not terrible, but I'm just much worse after f6. As a hint, let me tell you what I love in chess. In chess, I love developing my pieces with threats, with gain of time. So here, white has a move that develops a piece with a threat or a game of time. What's else? I'm a weird guy, Mine Creek. You just gotta live with it. Bishop e2. Beautiful. And this check is going to be really problematic. Bishop e2 is better because queen d1 is moving the same piece twice. I haven't moved this bishop, right? So I want to develop a new piece while threatening something. And bishop e2, this check is going to be really, really problematic. Plaster Hippie's like tracking my USCF. It's going to go up a lot on Thursday because I'm finishing a tournament on Thursday where I beat a master and a candidate master. So the problem with this check is that if I have to play g6, that's terrible for me. And the reason that's terrible for me is on move 5, I gave up my dark square bishop. And if I play g6, I don't have a lot of control of my dark squares. So the fact that he's going to force me to play g6 is going to be a problem. It's going to be a really big problem. So yeah, I have issues here. I already have big issues. I played knight c6. I sort of have to allow the check. I can't really do anything about it. No. Short answer, no. King e7 it just can't work. I just don't believe in it. No. That's too weird. In these positions, even though it's locked in the center, you do need to castle as black. Black cannot remain in the center because one of black's main ideas in this position is to like rip open the center. And with the king on e7, you're not ripping open the center, and then you can't really do anything. So I played knight c6. I could play hello, Groovy Goats. I could play knight e7. It's possible. I wasn't sure exactly what was going on here. This is maybe a reasonable try. Because here, the idea is maybe to go like knight g6 check. But I feel like this is really weakening. And I'm worried about this knight putting pressure on the pin. For example, takes check. If I go knight g6, all of a sudden there's like a quick this. And that's a lot of pressure being put on a pinned knight. This is not really what I want out of the opening. What's not a check? Bishop h5 is a check. Did I say something else was a check? So yeah, here I played knight c6. I just allow the check because what else am I going to do? And I played g6. Oh, my bad. And he went back because his bishop was attacked. And now my position's a little bit annoying because I have like really bad dark square weaknesses. So yeah, I don't like my position already. I think my position is quite bad, and I think I made it worse with my next move. So this is a bit of a weird position, but let's take a moment. What do you think Black should play here? There's probably a couple good moves here, but not the one I played. It's not losing, but it's definitely worse. Let's hear ideas. Bishop d7 is a very logical and very good move. And the point is, in these positions, it's almost always okay to hang this pawn, because this pawn is almost always not capturable. Here, if I want, I can take this pawn back, or I can play for like a draw, basically. Rook c8, rook b8 almost forces a draw. I don't think you can go here because of like knight f5 stuff. So yeah, you can't really take the pawn. So bishop d7 is a good move. What else? What else we got? Any other moves? Yeah, so the issue there is after 97, 95, if queen c5, this queen is probably actually going to get trapped with rook b5. The queen's walking sort of a tightrope in here. Now, the thing is, it will take two moves because the rook will be on c8. Excuse me. So maybe white can calculate a way out. But yeah, it's just this entire thing looks very shaky for me as the black player. I'd be happy. F5 was the move played in the game. I don't think it's a good move, but it's logical, right? Here was my thought process. I want to move my knight. My knight protects my pawn. I currently cannot move my knight. Let's play f5 so I can move my knight. Yeah, it's a great piece. Hey, he'll get there. He'll come to life. You'll see, actually, I do a good job of getting that piece into the game. I take care of my pieces, if nothing else. The problem is here, taking is terrible for black. And the reason is, if you enter these structures where white takes back on e5 with the f-pawn, black never has any counterplay. These structures are just awful for black. And it's even worse now that I played g6. So this is really unplayable. So f5 is a better move than taking, but I should play bishop d7. And just say, if you want to take, you can. That's not a good structure for you. But okay. I played f5, which is not a good move, but it doesn't lose immediately, and that's really all we can ask. Here, my opponent played knight e2. It's a move. So, it's not that I'm trying to win a square for my knight. It's just that if I move my knight, I hang my f-pawn. So I'm getting the f-pawn out of the way so that when I move my knight, I don't hang my f-pawn. So yeah, my opponent played knight e2, maybe not best. I was actually a little bit more worried about knight h3 coming to g5. But this knight e2 move is fine, and it's sensible, and it's very Davis. Davis plays just sensible, good chess. What about knight e7, ef6, knight f5? Legal. Certainly legal. Here, as white, I would probably play f7 check. Just to be annoying. And saying, I'll give you my pawn. You were going to win that pawn at some point anyway, but I'm going to disrupt your king. Yeah, the pawn's a goner, but I'm going to sell it for a high price. I'm going to sell it for my castling rights. Or I'm going to sell it for your castling rights. So this is an interesting idea, right? We don't always want to be like, oh, we lost a pawn, we can't possibly enter this variation. But in this particular variation, white's not even down material here, and your king is sort of stuck on f7. You know, I'm going to pressure the e-file, and I think white is just much better here. I think the king is bad on f7, and the reason is, let me ask you this: where should black be playing? Where is black's play? So with my king on f7, black's play sort of has to be on the queen side. But in this position, I locked the queen side. So I'm actually trying to play on the king side here. So that's the reason why I don't want to put my king on f7. I'm trying to play on the king side. So if I'm putting my king on f7, there's no way I can play on the king side. It's just not going to happen. That's the reason why I think that's not a good variation for black. I also feel like there might just be concrete tactical issues here with stuff like g4 coming, pushing that knight away. So if with white I can get moves like knight h, oops, that's not how the knight h3 to g5, g4, and castles, I think I'm just like smooth sailing here. So my opponent played knight e2, which is fine. Here I played, interestingly, I think black is already walking a fine line. And if black is not accurate here, black is about to go down in flames. I would have preferred knight h3. I just think knight e2 makes a lot of sense as well. So black needs to be very accurate here. So I'm going to ask, what is white's idea going to be over the next couple moves? White has a very strong idea that black has to see coming and react to. He's definitely going to exploit black's dark square's weaknesses. That was the main point of forcing g6. How is he going to do that? What's his idea? Have a good one, null pointerat. Yeah, Irishman. White has a huge positional threat of going castles, bishop e1, bishop h4. The thing is, the knight will actually eventually go to g3, where it's going to exert some pressure on the king side. I think the knight is sensible here. You can go for an h3, g4 plan. I think the more dangerous plan is castles, bishop f6. So my next move was directed against this. I played this strange-looking move, knight h6. Knight h6.
And this is all aimed against White's idea. White castled. And I played knight f7. And my point is, after bishop e1, I'm going to go h6. And the reason I put my knight on this weird square f7 is he's actually going to support the g5 push. And I'm going to shut that bishop out. I'm not letting that bishop into my position. And I'm actually going to give myself some dark square control here, because when this pawn goes to g5, that's going to give me some control over my dark squares. Black is not better here. Don't get me wrong. Black is still worse. He's still scrambling, but he's not dead in the water. Well, here's the thing, Yago. If I don't find this plan, I'm just going to lose. Like, if this bishop lands on f6, I just lose the game. It's just game over. None of my knights can really control this square, unless this knight just sits at home at g8 for the whole game. But then I have a knight that's sitting at home at g8. Excuse me. And Davis continued to play very well. Davis played the move h3. And his point behind the move h3 is he's going to force me to play g5, but he doesn't want me to play g4. So that's his idea behind the move h3. Yes, Davis Zong, the junior superhero. So he's denying me a g4 push. I finally developed my pieces. Thank God. Here I am, move 16, moving the bishop. The e6 push? Oh, sorry, I didn't see your first comment. Consider a bishop takes d5 sack with an e6 push. That's very interesting. Yeah, you'd have to spend a little bit of time making it work. But it's an interesting idea. You could play some stuff like knight g3 and rook e1, and then try and go for bishop takes d5. However, I have a feeling that's more of like a one mover, right? If I notice what's coming, I should be able to deal with it. Yeah, bishop d7, again, we looked at taking on b7 earlier. The motifs are very similar. So this time it is a forced draw if I want it, but I probably wouldn't take the forced draw. I think taking on b7 is a huge mistake. Actually, maybe I can castle, sack the bishop, and win the queen. That'd be interesting. I don't know. Oh yeah, I looked at this. Here's what I looked at. What was it? Was it here? I thought I had some like knight takes e5 or something, just supporting my bishop. It might be here. I had like knight takes e5, takes rook b8, queen c7, and then castles, and play this and trap the queen. Oh, I did this in not the right order, because there's this move. But I had these ideas. Maybe they don't work. Oh, yeah. Good point. Good point. We'll start with this one. Woo! And then this. Yeah, I don't think this works, actually. I think I was just wrong. Because after castles, there's queen d5. Okay, it doesn't work. Yeah, it doesn't work. I was kidding. I was only kidding. None of it works. But yeah, taking b7 is it's probably not good. Okay, Yago, we get the point. It's wrong. I get it. Yeah, so this was Davis's idea. He plays bishop h4. So he's provoking g5. No, Yago, it's fine. I'm only joking. And then he just goes back. And what Davis is arguing is that provoking g5 is bad for me. And the reason is it's weakened the h5 square. So I can, yeah, my position is bad but not losing. So I queenside castle because what else am I gonna do with my life? I've expanded on the king side. My king needs to go somewhere. Also, this rook was totally useless, so let's make him do something. Yeah, so my idea, or the way I'm going to get play in this game is to continue expanding somehow over here. Yago, I never get my classic French bishop maneuver, sadly. And here Davis played bishop h5, which I actually thought wasn't best during the game. But the move I thought was pretty good. Maybe wasn't very good. I thought he should go knight g3. And my point was, yeah. So Irishman, I'm going to counter. I'm going to counter with a question of my own. What are White's queen and rook doing? It's sort of a trade-off, right? My queen is stopping White's queenside play, and it's sort of holding these pieces here. It's almost like I'm trading two pieces for one. So yeah, I thought this knight g3 move was very annoying with the simple plan of going here and here. But it turns out it's not so like tactically great because I just take this pawn. And after knight h5, queen b2, rook b1, I'll go b6, right? It's sort of, that's the beauty of this variation. It's really hard to get attacked on the queen side. It's just very difficult to mount an attack on that side of the board for black. And the reason is this queen actually, the way you would want to attack me is by playing your a pawn. Especially after b6, right? You want to go a4, a5. But it's hard to push your a pawn when there's a queen on a4. So yeah, I thought this was annoying. But here, I can go like knight g5, and you can go knight f6. But I have compensation here for this knight on f6. This isn't the worst thing in the world. It's pretty bad, but it's not the worst thing in the world. In fact, here I can actually go knight h7 if I want. And this is playable. So yeah, this is... I thought knight g3 getting the knight to f6 was annoying, but apparently it's not so bad. Davis played bishop h5, which I guess is better. I was less worried about this. Bishop h4 here. It's a good move. It's a good move, my friend. Okay, I've been inaccurate. Let's not do what I... I'm looking, I feel like I have opportunities here. I can play this move. I think this move is a little bit annoying for you, actually. because that knight is really strong, and this is a better version of what I was trying to do. Because now if you go bishop h4, this pawn is hanging. I also have ideas of playing knight g3, which is a dark square hole in your position all of a sudden. So yeah, my knight h7 move was pretty bad. This one's a more active version. This is a better version of what I was trying to do. Yeah, this should be okay. I think black is doing fine here. The position's messy, don't get me wrong. But black is okay here, I think. That's my evaluation. Feel free to evaluate differently because I might be totally wrong. Yeah, we'll get some... I do some blitz sometimes. I might not do anything tonight because I'm probably going to go to bed here soonish. After bishop h5, I protected my knight because that's a good thing to do. Oh. He played bishop d2. He's pressuring this pawn. He's actually threatening to win it right now. If I do nothing, he can take the knight and then take it, wins a pawn. So I do have to do something. So I activated another piece. Chess is so simple when you think about it. Find your pieces that aren't doing anything and make them do something. Now my rook's protecting the pawn. And my opponent very logically played queen c1, which is a good move. He's continuing to pressure this pawn. And here I played a bad move, although it's not immediately obvious why it's a bad move. So I don't feel too bad about this move. I played g4, which makes a lot of sense. I've supported this push. This was part of my idea behind rook g8. And I can go g4 here. The machine is a cold and cruel mistress. The machine says, yeah, I didn't want that pawn anyway. And its point is, if you try and win the pawn, you have some issues on the file, actually. And that's a good point it makes. This was not something I really even considered. So maybe this was a little bit of a blind spot for me. I was very much like, no, I don't want to lose my pawn. I have to do everything so that I don't lose my pawn. But here I think it's clear that black has serious compensation for this pawn. In fact, this bishop is about to become a very good piece. After h4, black's trying to keep it, or sorry, white's trying to keep it close. I can go bishop e8, and this bishop actually becomes quite strong. Exerts a lot of pressure over here. So, yeah, I think this would have been the way to go. But it wasn't really clear to me what was wrong with my move. So I played g4, and he swapped, of course. And now Davis played knight g3, which is very logical. He's covering this square. He's eyeing up ideas of going f5, which is his break in the position. Makes a lot of sense. But here he actually has a better move, a move that I didn't really consider. So white to play here. What's a good move for white? f5. And I didn't really consider this because it's a pawn sack, but I have issues here. For example, after takes, what should white do here? White has a healthy choice of options. Maybe best is knight f4. This move is really annoying,
because it hits this pawn and threatens the fork. So, yeah, I have problems. Yeah, this knight f4 move is really annoying. I didn't see any of this in the game, because I'm bad at chess. But neither did my opponent, apparently. So, that's good for me. I like it when my opponents play bad. That's always nice. Yeah, this would have put me under a lot of pressure. I don't even know what I play here. Like, what do I do, right? I guess I go like knight g5 and pray. Yeah, this looks really bad for black. All of a sudden, white has 2 connected passed pawns in the center. That's not what you want. So, yeah, my opponent played knight g3. So he's preparing f5, but f5 didn't need to be prepared, so that was a bad move. Okay, that's in a previous variation. Let me look at that. This question comes from this variation. What if he takes on h6, and after king h1, he's threatening h7? That's true. His knight is hanging. Yikes. I like free pieces. I'm big on those free pieces. Now I'm threatening to do dirty things to your second rank. But yeah, I didn't calculate any of this. So that was just a lucky find for me. Anyway, after knight g3, I played the obvious knight e7. And now Davis played queen e1, which is sneaky. Davis is being sneaky here. He wants to play f5 again, and he's preparing it in a sneaky way. If I do something stupid, he'll go f5, and when I take, he'll go e6. He supported the e6 push, and I'm losing a piece here. Very annoying. So, yeah. Also, a good point from Iago. If I go knight f5, very similar things happen. He's going to take it and play e6. So I can't allow this pawn to be shoved down my throat. So queen e1 is probably a good move. He's activating his queen. However, I responded quite well here. So the problem with queen takes c2 is he still goes f5. He goes f5 anyway. Darn it. Don't you hate it when they do that? And here's the thing. You don't have enough pieces on f5 to avoid pawn takes. Say I go knight takes, I can't go queen takes because the rook's here. So here I have to go pawn takes, e6 anyway. Bummer. So again, I'm losing a piece. Very annoying. In fact, maybe it's better to actually take this and then go e6. I don't know. Put a more valuable piece on pre. That's annoying. So yeah, that's it's not good. So after queen e1, I need a good move. Iago, are you looking at the pin on the e file? Yeah, you're right. You're right. Can't take it. That's fine. I'll just win my piece. I need a good move for black here. What should black play in this position? f5 is a threat. Oh, I believed you. You led me astray. Knight to h8. If that's right, I'd rather be wrong. That's so sad. You know, this is not the most ridiculous idea I've ever seen, though. I think here, white goes f5 anyway, with the point being, after takes, I'm still going to go e6. And I did sack a pawn, but your pieces are, like, your pieces are all going to terrible squares. So, yeah, I don't really believe in this for black. Oh, is bishop takes h6 better? Oh, this rook is running out of squares. That's a fair argument. Yeah, but I can play a move where I don't really have to unwind. I have a good move here. I saw it actually there. Music Dan, knight d8, very good. The knight makes a lot more sense on d8 than it did on h8. Because on d8, it actually has a prospect of going to c6, which is a nice square for a knight. If I go queen c2, f5 is coming. It's not going to happen. So knight d8, just securing this e6 square. You can't play e6 anymore. And here Davis, he's played well throughout the entire game. I think I've slowly clawed my way back to equality. I've clawed my way back to equality, and here Davis starts to go wrong. So you just gotta, when you're worse, you just gotta hang in there, and eventually your opponent's gonna fuck up. Davis played f5, and the problem is he spent all this time preparing f5, but it's not good anymore. I'm well prepared to meet this. My knight and rook are on f5. These pieces cover e6. So all of it, he's finally played f5, but at like the worst time. Because he thought I would fuck up? Yeah, that's probably true. Excuse me. So my opponent played f5. I took it. Why not? He takes f5. I took it. And here I'm up a pawn. But white has issues. His first issue is that he can't regain his pawn. So maybe he was counting on this move. And his point is, if rook h8, he can protect everything, the c pawn and the bishop, by going queen d2. But black actually has a winning move here. What's the winning move for black? Rook takes h6 is legal. I'll give you that one. It's definitely legal. You're getting a pawn for your exchange. I'm suspicious. My pieces as white are all pretty terrible. I'll give you that. But what if I go e6 here? No, just kidding, just kidding. Not gonna go e6. This is reasonable. This is reasonable. But I think there's clearer. Yeah, I saw it. Queen c6 or queen a6. They both win a piece.
This piece is pinned. And we know when I see a pinned piece, I am piling up on that pinned piece. I am going for it. Queen c6, what do? Piece is lost. Queen a6, also good. Target that pinned piece. So, it's actually impossible for Davis to retain his pawn. And if he doesn't retain his pawn, he doesn't really have compensation, which is very annoying for him. So he played Queen c1, which is a dual-purpose move. He wants to take this pawn, and he's protecting the c2 pawn, which was hanging. Yeah, here's the thing. This rook hasn't moved this game, because his queen was sitting on b1 the whole game. The a1 rook never did anything. Yeah, and his bishop is sort of trapped here. His bishop's really bad. And this move is sort of a waiting move. It's a little bit annoying because I want to play like knight e6, but all of a sudden that does give him the f7 square. This is not what I want. So instead, I played rook h8. And I'm just going to hold on to my extra pawn. He can go bishop g6. On bishop g6, I'll just play queen c6 and... Oh, like, where does that piece go, right? So, he played a normal move. He played bishop f4. He's maybe threatening to do some things with, like, e6, and, you know, this queen comes in here, something like that. I assume that's his idea. But I have a pretty nasty move here. It's a little bit strange, because his bishop is so bad. But the move bishop... Oh, nope. That's not what I meant. His light square bishop is really bad, but bishop e8 is really strong here. If you go knight d6, he has that bishop f7 again, right? It's annoying. Maybe you have knight g5. No, because this pawn is going to hang at the end there. Let me show that. If you go here, there's this. Yeah, you can take this. This pawn is hanging, though. Maybe this bishop comes out. Also, maybe there's some e6 shenanigans with the bishop on f7. Yeah, a powerful move there. Here, I have e6 coming, I think. A little bit annoying, no? So, this move, bishop e8, is very strong. Even though he's trading off this terrible piece. Let's look what's left on the board. I have a knight. And the knight is going to be very, very good because I'm going to put this knight on e6. And that's a great place for a knight. He has a bishop. That's not a very good bishop. So by trading the light square bishop, even though his light square bishop was in an awkward place, the pieces that are left behind are very beneficial to me. This knight is great, this bishop is awful. As soon as I play knight e6, oh, that's not how knight e6 works. As soon as I play knight e6, I'm in cruise control, I'm up a pawn. The problem with e6 is it just doesn't get you anything. If you go e6, there's just no way it's enough compensation. Like, I see your idea, you're clearly opening lines here. Great, makes a lot of sense. But here I'll actually go queen e6. Bishop e5, rook g8, and I'm going to go knight f7. And now you're down 2 pawns. That's just too much. However, my opponent immediately went horribly wrong. And this, if he's already significantly worse to losing. Bishop b8. What? Oh, queen f4. I missed this move. I was just thinking about bishop b8. I was like, I take it? I don't understand. Let's look. After rook h8, is knight. So, yes, but the thing is, once again, anytime we play knight d6, he's going to flick out bishop f7. Immediately. Because he doesn't want his bishop to be trapped. So he's got to respond to that. And if he's forced to, he'll trade this bishop for the knight. Which will leave me with this bishop. I don't want this bishop. I don't want this bishop on the board. This bishop needs to go. So, let's keep going. My opponent lost the game in one move here. He played bishop takes h6. And he was like, yay, I got my pawn back. And I was like, yay, I have the H file. And I think one of these factors is more important than the other. I think being checkmated is worse than being a pawn down. So yeah, he's just lost. I mean, it's not. It is clear, but it's not the clearest thing in the world. For example, he plays bishop f4, right? And this check actually leads nowhere. Here I have nothing. So black needs to handle this with some care. After bishop f4, you have to be accurate. So I played knight e6. And now I do have a threat. My threat is to take, and all of a sudden this check is going to pick up a rook. So when I play knight e6, I introduce this threat of takes and win the rook. Before, the check was nothing, but now that check is serious business. And my opponent blundered again, but the position is very difficult. He played rook a2, and his point is, you can't win my rook if it's on a2. So it's black to play and win. Sorry, let's look at that line. If white does something dumb, is there a perpetual? I don't even see your second check. So I'm going to say no, there's no perpetual. You don't even get a second check. Why can't we win the a2 rook? Because it's not on the back rank anymore. When it's on a2, it doesn't get hit by the skewer. But this is black to play and win. So I played two more moves and the game was over. So this requires a little bit more time is the issue, which means that I'm maybe going to manage to bail this rook out. Maybe I'm not. But here I have this move, right? It's a little bit annoying. I think I'm busted though. I don't think I'm getting this rook out. Yeah, but I go like rook c8, right? And what's the problem? I just don't see a problem here. I'll even tuck my rook away on b8 if I have to. I'm just gonna win that rook. So yeah, that wins. You're right. I played a different win. The win I played is kind of nice. G3. And my point is, I don't think you want to take that pawn. If you pawn push there, the queen can take. That's why G3 is more accurate. Because the bishop can't take. The line suggested is takes, takes, and G3, but here there's just queen takes, right? Oh, that's your idea. Yeah, I'm going to go for a walk here. This won't be pleasant either. It looks like there's a lot of winning ideas for black. I think G3 is very clear, though. You can't take it. Your only move is King F1. And here white resigned. He's just lost. Just to show some sample variations. Takes. Okay, any move to the first rank is mate. So this is the only other move, and that's mate. Mate is good. I like mate. And so yeah, it was mate in a couple moves. My opponent resigned. So this is an extension of my Queen A5 winner series because GMs always make things look so nice and easy. And then when you play these variations, it's like trench warfare, and you get terrible positions, and everything goes wrong. But you just gotta tough it out. Mate is overrated. I think that's why you're lower rated than me, Iago. Oh shit! Wrecked. No, I'm just playing. Iago's a good player. So yeah, you just gotta stick with your bad position. Play good moves. Your opponent's going to make threats. You have to deal with them. And you have to hope your opponent plays a little bit inaccurately. But if your opponent isn't like an FM, they're going to be inaccurate at some point. I'm inaccurate all the time. Not that I'm a good player or anything. But yeah, if your opponent's below FM level, you can expect them to make at least some inaccuracies. Flick through the whole game in 10 seconds. Sure. I did it. No, I'm just playing. E4, E6. It's the French. It's a winnower. It's a mainline winnower. It's a Queen A5 winnower. It's the Queen B1 variation of the Queen A5 winnower. I close the center. He plays F4. I play F6, which is bad because it opens this diagonal for a check. He exploits that. Now I have to play G6, so I have really strong dark square weaknesses. I play F5 so that I can move my knight, but instead I should just play Bishop D7 and castle. Now I have really strong dark square weaknesses. He's going to bring his bishop around here and take care of my dark square weaknesses, so I have to be ready to meet that with H6 and G5. I put my knight on a square that supports H6 and G5. I start playing H6 and G5. I develop my pieces. I don't let his bishop into my dark squares. I get my king to safety. I protect my hanging piece. I protect my hanging pawn. I play a dubious move. I protect my hanging pawn, but I didn't really need to because I had extreme compensation if the pawn was taken. And here, white gets a strong initiative with F5, winning probably this pawn, which would be very bad for me. But my opponent's bad and doesn't see it. I stop F5. He's threatening F5 again. I stop F5. He plays F5 anyway, but it's bad, so I take it a whole bunch of times, and now I'm up a pawn. He threatens a pawn, but I stop him. And then I trade off my terrible piece, and he opens the H file for me, and I win. There you go. I did it. I hope that was fun for everyone. That was kind of fun for me. I enjoyed that. The last minute recap.
All right, I have one more game to show you guys. We're going to go through this one pretty quickly, just because I'm tired and I'm lazy. This was a game I played against another expert, another 2100 player. This guy's older. He's probably in his 50s or something. You play this opening. You should look at GM games. I think there's a GM, I think it's Kovalenko, who plays this a lot. Give me 1 second. This is a great website, by the way. It's ChessBase's live database. E4, E6, D4, D5, Knight, C3, Bishop E4. E5, C5, A3, Bishop takes C3, B takes C3, Queen A5. Who plays this a lot as black? Yeah, it's Igor Kovalenko. Look at his games. Look at this. Igor Kovalenko has four games in a row here where he won as black. He's a 2700 GM. Or at least he has been a 2700 GM. Oh, he has some new games in here. He has 3 new games in here. I should look at these games. Looking at GM games is one of the best ways to learn an opening and learn the middle game plans. So yeah, just study these Kovalenko games. He clearly knows what he's doing in this variation. He plays it a lot. Z Fox, I'm sorry, I'm not going to look at it tonight. If you give it to me on another stream where I have a little bit more energy, I am more likely to say yes. Let me fix my window. Okay. I played black against George. George is a lovely man. We played the winner, the Queen A5 widower, because that's all I ever play. I played Queen A4, and he played the Knight F3 variation. And I always like seeing this, because whenever people play Knight F3, they have no idea what they're doing, and I get great positions. So I played B6, because I want to trade the light square bishops. And he played Bishop E3, which is a move I've never faced. He's threatening to win a pawn. Which is... It's true, he is threatening to win a pawn. And here I played a bad move. I should play Knight D7 because it protects my pawn and develops a piece. But I don't like having my knight on D7. I like having my knight on C6. But okay, he moved this bishop twice in the opening. Sometimes you have to make some sacrifices, right? He's done something a little wonky. It's fine. I can put my knight on D7 and say that you've wasted time in the opening, so it's okay for my knight to be on not a great square. But I played CD4, which is apparently a bad move. It made a lot of sense to me. So let me ask, how would you recapture as white? It's an interesting question. You always have to think about this. Bishop takes d4, why? Pawn takes d4 makes a lot of sense, right? That's what my opponent played. It's actually a mistake. Although pawn takes d4 makes a lot of sense, it was the only move I considered. But the best move, and there's very concrete tactical reasons. The best move here is queen takes d4. And the reason here is, so my queen is hanging. My queen is hanging here. So say I trade the queen. He goes knight takes d4. And now I actually have some issues
Knight b5 is coming, and that's a problem. Like, I'm gonna have some serious issues on my dark squares here. This is a running theme in this opening. Black has issues on the dark squares. Queen takes f2? Oh, you mean queen takes c2? This is scary. You're going in for a queen for a grab when you don't have anything developed, right? So I will happily sacrifice that pawn. Bishop b5 check. Take that and castle. And I think white is close to winning in this position. I have stuff like c4 coming. I think black is basically busted here. ELO level here. I'm a 2100 USCF player. And my opponent was also 2100. So we're both like medium experts. Not bad. So yeah, the thing about here is knight b5 is very annoying. You can go a6, but then this pawn is weak, so I can play something like, I don't know. What do I play? Rook b1. That's a good move. And black is having trouble defending himself. If you go knight d7, then my knight comes to c6, right? Well, maybe not. Maybe the bishop b7. Yeah, but still. No, I just take the pawn. Yeah, this is not great. I win e4. I'm not sure what you mean by that. So anyway, this queen recapture was interesting. Not something I ever considered. I doubt my opponent considered it, because he took back with the pawn. It makes a lot of sense. And now I trade the light square bishops, because that's a good idea. My bishop is terrible. His bishop is great. He played bishop d3. I took it, because I want to trade the light square bishops. He took it. And I played knight c6. Remember, earlier I could have played knight d7, but now I get my knight on c6. It's a good square. And already black is a little better here, mostly in part because this bishop is terrible. And that's going to be a theme in the winner, is that if white ever gets to an endgame, he has this terrible bishop. White exchange on d3? Because his bishop is good and my bishop isn't very good at all. That's true, but if I don't exchange, what white's going to do is he's going to castle, play rook e1, and then he's going to get this bishop out of dodge. He's going to play like c4 or something, and it's really nice to have these bishops off the board. Also, if I go knight c6, he can think about taking this piece. So say castles, knight e7 and takes, and now he actually has some pleasant ideas. He can go a4, which is one of the reasons why the queen is on a4, to prevent a4. I'm not saying this is wrong. I'm just explaining my reasoning. Knight c6 might be a perfectly good move. I'm honestly not sure. My reasoning was I just want these bishops off the board. That's white's best piece. That's my worst piece. With useless knight c6, knight c6 is a great move. This is a powerful knight. So white castled, knight e7. Here white played an interesting move, queen b3. And his point is, if we trade into this ending, he's fixed his structure, right? He had this weak c2 pawn. It was on the open file. Now his weak pawn is not on the open file, so this is a better ending for white. That's why I didn't take the queen, because it gives white a good ending, or at least a better ending. So I played queen a6.
just because I don't want to take that queen, but my queen is hanging. I don't like that endgame where I've fixed his structure. This is okay for white. And here he played an interesting move. He played bishop d2. He's trying to activate his bishop. It's probably a good move. However, he is undefending his d-pawn. So I thought about this move, knight f5. Just attacking the d-pawn. And this can lead to some pretty complex variations. Because white can play here bishop b4. And he can actually sacrifice the pawn. This was something I looked at during the game, is if white can get away with sacking the pawn. And if I accept the pawn, here, this can get quite dangerous for the black player. For example, on queen e3, I don't need to castle. My king's perfectly safe. I mean, in this variation, it's not. But that's because I want a pawn. After queen e3, what should black play here? I was hoping someone might play knight takes c3 or knight takes c2. Knight takes c2 loses. Knight takes c2, and you're in massive trouble here on the dark squares. Bad things are happening. Or sorry, that's not correct. No, this is correct. Give me 1 second. What happens here? Takes, rook f8, takes. This is something. This is not as bad as I thought it was. I thought you were losing material, but this is maybe playable. However, I don't know about this. Something like queen b7. This king is... That's not where you want your king to be, right? So I think after queen e3, if you go knight c6, you're actually going to transpose, I think, after queen g5, right? Here you have issues with this g-pawn again. So knight c6 is not correct either. I need a good move after queen e3. Knight e2 check. King h1. Yeah, there you go. There you go, my friend. Knight f5, and the point is you guard your g7 pawn. So on queen g5, I'll go h6, and I got. You're also guarding the e7 square. Very important. This knight on f5 is very good, and I've got everything under control. So knight f5 is a very good move. Keeps everything under control. So that was playable. But the other thing is after knight f5, white can go queen b2. He doesn't have to sack the pawn. So instead of entering any of this silliness, I just castled. I was just like, I don't want anything silly. I'm just going to castle, play sensible. I don't want to go for pawn grabs when my king's stuck in the center and I'm going to be sort of cut on this diagonal. I think this is a very sensible decision. Maybe the pawn grab is working. It's totally possible. But I thought that I'm better here anyway. This pawn is weak, so why bother? He played bishop b4, which makes a lot of sense. I unpinned. He took it because his bishop's terrible. And c3, he protects his pawn. But this move c3 sort of admits that he's a lot worse.
because now white has to tend to these weak pawns, and black doesn't have any weaknesses. So black is just better. G4, rook G1. So in this position, if you like, okay, say you start with king H1, right? I will go rook C8, and okay, now you go G4. The problem is you're never threatening anything. Like, you just don't create threats. I don't have like a hook that you can latch onto. I haven't played H6. So here I'll go knight A5. You can take. And my plan is just to bring this other knight to C4 or pressure this pawn. I can play like a move like queen C3. That might be very annoying. Especially because this knight is looser all of a sudden. And I just think bad things are happening for white here. And you're not making any threats. Your threats just aren't coming quickly enough. So bishop B4 I think made a lot of sense. And funny story. So Okies, that's a great question. Okies is asking, when do I play F6 in these sorts of positions? And the truth of the matter is, that's a really hard thing to judge. In this position, I am not inclined to play F6 in the slightest. And the reason is, white already has clear weaknesses. And sure, F6 will give me dynamic play in the center, but F6 will create weaknesses for him to attack. Right now, white cannot attack anything. What is he going to attack? I have no weaknesses. These pawns are strong. These pawns are all strong and healthy. I have no weaknesses. So I'm not interested in creating a weakness when I have no weaknesses and he already has weaknesses. I love the status quo. The positions I want to play F6 in are the positions where if I don't do something, I'm going to lose. So it usually doesn't happen in the winnower, but if you were here for that last game, I was forced to play C4 and close the center. So when I play C4 and close the center, that means if I don't do something, I'm just going to lose because he's just going to checkmate me. So in that game, I played F6 because I don't want to just sit there and lose. But here, he already has weaknesses, so I don't need to play F6. As a side note, I played this ending terribly. But my opponent played worse, and that's what counts. Knight C6 makes a lot of sense to me. It's not the engine-approved move, but I don't know. I said let's put a knight on C4, right? That looks like a good square for a knight. Apparently I'm supposed to go knight G6, which never even crossed my mind. But the point behind knight G6 is to go knight F4, and those are some juicy squares for a knight as well. I just never thought about that. It's a good idea. Just never crossed my mind. I'm like, great, let's put my knight on C4. So, yeah, this would have been a good move. I didn't consider it. So, knight C6. He supports his pawn. Knight A5. I'm going to skip through this because it's a whole bunch of maneuvering and we both play bad. After knight G6, what if white goes G3? I think you have issues with your knight. Like, for example, is queen D3 a problem? I'm looking for those loose pieces. I love loose pieces. G3 gives me a loose piece to pick on. I think I'm winning the C-pawn here. I don't see how you save both your knight and your c-pawn. So, for example, king g2. Oh, this is terrible, actually. Now you're just lost. No, you have queen d1, actually, which means you don't lose on the spot. But you are losing here. So, yeah, this is unplayable. Yeah, I mean, I didn't even look at this. Still resign. No, not at the marshal. At the marshal, you played a mate. I put my knight on c4. I'm gonna breeze through this because we played terribly. I doubled my rooks. I played knight c4. I should trade queens, but I didn't. I don't know why I didn't trade queens. The ending must be winning, but okay. I played knight c4. Oh, it's just not a good move. I said white can't do anything. Here we just moved around a whole bunch. Queen d3 doesn't really do anything. I just went back. I said, okay, I didn't do anything. I put my knight back on c4. I wanted to trade queens. He wouldn't let me. Now I'm going to start pushing my queenside pawns. I like queenside pawns. I don't want to trade queens. a6 is not great, but okay. This is all super crazy maneuvering. So here, I finally got the setup I wanted, and I had an idea, and white sort of needs to prevent my idea, because if white doesn't prevent my idea, I'm going to enter a pretty winning ending. So my idea is I want to play b5. That's why I have my rooks on the b file. But right now, say white passes, and I go b5. White's going to shut it down with a5. He's just going to say, I'm not opening that file. And here, everything's so closed, I don't really see how I make progress. So, my idea here, as Iago has said, is to go a5 and then b5, which blasts everything open. And the issue for him is he wants to meet a5 with queen b5, which just shuts it down. But what I've set up here is when the queen lands on b5, I'm going to take it, and I'll have a protected pass pawn on a5. So white really should go rook b1. And the point behind this move is after a5, now a5 is not good because he'll take with the rook, and now this is a terrible position for black. I've butchered this. But my opponent maybe didn't notice what I was up to and played king e2, and now I get exactly what I want. I get a protected pass pawn. This is exactly what I wanted. Because this pawn is going to be insurance in this endgame. I'm going to be doing great. Here I played a terrible move. I played rook a7. I don't know why I played rook a7. I should put my rooks on the c file again. This pawn is doing fine. And then my opponent played rook a4, and I felt stupid because I played rook a7, and my opponent played rook a4. Like, what was I doing? And there's something annoying about this position. My knight can't move. It just doesn't have moves. If I go knight b2, he'll just put his rook back, and then I haven't accomplished anything. So, here, Okij, I played f6. And the reason I played f6 is I want to be able to move my knight. That's a good reason to play f6. When your pieces can't move unless you play f6. So the point behind f6 is I'd like to move my knight. It can't move. It's on a great square, but at some point it's going to want to go somewhere else. So I played f6. My opponent played knight d2 because he realized my knight was going to get out, and he didn't want this knight hopping all over his face. So I took twice. And this was move 40. So this was the last move I made before time control. And it was a bad move. So let's ask the crowd, what should I play as black here? Make a better... Oh,
Site update, just flip the board. Let's flip back. Make a better move than me. What should I play here? It's move 40. I'm running low on time. Got to make that time control. So let's say you have 1 minute. 1 minute to make this last move. How you can 100% improve at chess. Play good moves, don't play bad moves. We have one idea, FE5. You don't have to be in pain about it. Rook to E8. I'm interested, Iago. What's your idea behind Rook E8? Rook D8. Lining up with the king. And you're going to do some E5, D4 ideas? So Rook C8. These were the 3 ideas I've had. So, the move I played in the game was Rook C8. And this is not a good move. And the reason is it allows white to exchange on F6. And we need to compare these structures. Let's look at this structure. In this structure, black really only has a few weaknesses. Black only has a few weaknesses here. He has this weak E6 pawn and the weak B6 pawn. And black can really cover them easily with King F7. We're covering everything. But after the move I played, Rook C8, now black has quite a lot of weaknesses. This pawn is weak, this pawn is weak, this pawn is weak, this pawn is maybe weak. Maybe I play E5, but for now I have 4 weak pawns. So I've allowed white to favorably change the structure for him, which was not a good decision. I need to insert takes to make sure, I need to take here to make sure that white does not take and change the structure favorably. All my pawns become weak if I allow white to take. And after I take here, then I'll put my rooks on the C file. I know this has been said in chat. But after Rook C8, my opponent very correctly took on F6, and now I have all these weak pawns. Here's the thing. Rook C8 actually doesn't do what I want it to do. Because if you notice, white has 2 rooks on the C4 square, so white is able to liquidate his backward pawn. However, the reason I played Rook C8 is I'm going to force this rook off of A4. So I played DC4, Rook C4, Rook C4, Rook C4. And now that I've forced this rook off of A4, now I can push my pawn. All of a sudden, this rook on A7 doesn't look so stupid. A4. I'm going to force white to react to this pawn. Otherwise, I'm just going to queen it. So white has to react. King C2, that's best. And let me ask, what should black play here? Black only has 1 move to press for advantage in this position. This is a better endgame. It is not clearly winning. If I had traded on E5, that likely would have been a winning endgame. But this endgame, I've played too inaccurately. White has definite chances to draw this. Rooks. No, a move for black. It's black's move. White would love to play Rook C6 right now, but it's black's move. How is this better for black? Because black's got an A pawn that white's got to deal with. So a3 is playable, but I think less accurate than the game continuation. The problem is after a3, say king b1, if you're just going to shove this pawn all the way, then you need to have an idea what's coming next here. So I think more accurate is to start with this move rook a5. I believe this is more accurate. I think a3... Can I punish this somehow? King b1, you want to go rook a5 here? I didn't like this as much, and I'm trying to figure out why. And for the life of me, I can't tell you. Yeah, this looks equally fine, to be honest. I don't know why I didn't like this as much. I had some reason, but I can't tell you why right now. The king does control the pawn, but he's going to have issues here. You'll see. Music Dan, I think this is reasonable. If you go king a2, I get sort of what I want. Because after king a2, I'm going to go king f7. Here I'm getting what I want. So let's just go back to the main line. It's going to see similar play. Here I went rook a5. And my opponent went... Oh, I remember why I like this less. It's because after rook a5, king a2, I'm not taking this with check. That was my point. That was why I played the way I did. After rook a5 here, if you go king b2, I take this with check. That was my main point. That was my whole point. So that's why I played rook a5 immediately. Oops, sorry. So here, rook a5. If you go rook c6, I'm not going to give you the b pawn. I'm not going to give you the b pawn. I'm going to give you the e pawn. You can have my e pawn. I've got connected pass pawns. I like connected pass pawns a lot. Also, my rook is cutting your king from the a file. So this to me looks very dangerous for white. You're obliged to accept this pawn, and then I come here. And because your king is cut now, your rook actually has to come back and defend against the a pawn. Oh yeah, maybe. That's why I think this variation is more accurate. So after rook a5, my opponent played rook b4. But now his rook is super duper passive. So a3, king b1, and I bring my king. And here's the issue. He can't take this pawn. He can never take this pawn. So I played king e7. Say, for example, he goes rook b3. After king d6 takes, this is a losing king and pawn for white. White is just dead lost in this position. So the issue here for white is he can just never take the a pawn. It's not possible to take the a pawn because this king and pawn is just game over. He has nothing. I'm taking this pawn, and then your king is so passive. I'm just totally shutting your king out. I'm going to make a passed e pawn. What are you going to do about it? So white's just in huge trouble here, which means that here, white doesn't really have an active plan. What is white doing?
He can't take this pawn. His rook is tied to this pawn. His king is tied to this pawn. None of his pieces can really do anything. That's why this endgame is so annoying for the white player. That's why I think I still have a pull here. However, my opponent created good practical chances. My opponent played a very interesting move. He played the move d5. d5 is a very, very interesting move. And his idea is he's going to come over and snap at my weaknesses. He's going to come and get me. He's going to come and try and snap up my weak pawns. It's an interesting try. He's getting his rook active. He's unhappy with his passive rook. So d5 was a really interesting move. And I reacted badly because I played e5. And I had really good ideas behind e5. They just don't work tactically. The best move is just take the pawn and say, what's the problem? And the point is here, this pawn's going to be really, really strong. For example, after rook h4 takes, here I just go like king e6, and if you take my pawn, he's rolling. So yeah, I should have taken it. But I had good ideas behind e5. I promise you. They just don't work tactically. So my opponent played rook h4. And my idea is I want to take this with my rook. Because when I take this with my rook, I'm going to have quick and easy access to the 7th rank, where there's 2 loose pawns on the 7th rank. So what I want to do is snap him, come to the 7th. That's my plan. Just eat all the pawns and come to the 7th. But this runs into a tiny problem. So after rook takes b5, what's the best move for white here? This is what I missed in this position. King takes a3 was played. After king takes a3, white is close to losing. f4 is very interesting. I will give you that. After f4, I'm going to continue with my plan. You didn't stop my plan of taking here. I've got this check coming, winning the g-pawn. If you take here, I'll take with the rook. I'll leave this pawn here. So when you grab this, this ending should be winning, I want to say. It's not the clearest thing in the world. It's really not. I think I could have played this better. After rook takes h6, I might actually hold this pawn with some like rook e6, rook e3. That might be better. But I think this is just clearly better for black. White can actually equalize after rook b5. Oh yeah, the best move is d6 check. This is a nasty little shot. Both me and my opponent totally missed this. I never even considered this move. I probably should have. It's a check. But this move is really annoying because it does 2 things that's annoying. First off, it gets rid of my plan of taking the pawn with check. Second off, I gotta take this thing with my king. I don't want to take this thing with my king. I want to take it with my rook. Boom. He's hanging. The king had to move. That's a pawn that's hanging with check. Yikes. So now king e6, king a3. And you don't have access to the 7th. How annoying. Oh, you want to throw in a rook b2 check here? That's fine. This is still hanging with... Oh, you got this one. You got that one. I totally missed this. It's a good move. I totally missed that. So what's going on here? What if I throw this in for white to start? That's probably more accurate. There we go. My move order was wrong. This is better. No, this is just more accurate for white. Now I'm getting everything I want. You're not getting the 7th. I shouldn't have let you have the 7th. You're right. You had a good point. I shouldn't have let you have the 7th. Here I think it's very close to draw. You can play something like rook d5 or king e6, but this is starting to approach very drawn. f5 for black? That's bold. I think this is very close to drawn. So a d6 check is a nasty little shot. It's just it's decoying the king away from defense of this pawn. It's not easy to see. But my opponent played king a3, which makes a lot of sense. But now I get everything I want. Rook d5. I'm coming for that 7th rank. Let's go. It's very difficult for white here. White might be lost. He gives this check, which is a little bit annoying, because he's threatening to swing to both these pawns, which are both weak. But my rook is ready to come for this pawn. So I played king d6. I gotta go over and help this pawn. And here my opponent played a bad move. This, if it wasn't losing before, now it's rook h7 is best. He has to attack my weaknesses. Rook h7 is a good move. What else is he gonna play? King b4? He just has nothing. I think rook h7 is the only move to even try. Because now he actually has threats with his rook. Before he wasn't threatening anything with his rook. Now I have to be a little worried. But here he played a terrible move. He played f3. Which is just a strange move on all accounts. He needs to save the g-pawn so that he at least has connected pawns. So yeah, I don't know about f3. If he plays g4, I still have to work a little bit here. Because he can roll this, he can tickle me. It's a little bit annoying. But f3 is yeah. That's not gonna cut it. So I took the pawn, he went here, I went there, he went there. I'm gonna take all your pawns. And here he resigned. He didn't play till mate. I was so happy. But yeah, the problem is I'm actually winning both the white pawns. And I'm going to have 2 connected pass pawns and a rook that's going to win. And he recognized that, so he's just like, fine. I don't want to play anymore. So yeah, an interesting game. I think this is sort of instructive because I didn't play terribly well this game. I made a lot of large mistakes. But you can play bad and still win. all you have to do is play better than your opponent. And it's not like my opponent was some patzer, right? He's rated 2100. He's a good player. So, especially in endgames, I found that, like, I always feel like I play the endgame bad, and I always feel like my opponent plays the endgame atrociously. Like, I'm never happy with what I do in the endgame, but my opponent does even worse. People play endgames so badly. So if you're even, like, remotely competent at an endgames, that gives you such a benefit when you get to these positions. Because I didn't play great. I will be the first to admit, I made a lot of inaccuracies. But I still outplayed my opponent in the endgame. That's sort of ridiculous. That I can make, like, let's see, Rook A7 was inaccurate, allowing EF6 was inaccurate, not taking on D5 was inaccurate. I played at least 3 inaccurate moves in this endgame. And I still outplayed this opponent. So, yeah, it's sort of like, you don't have to be great at endgames. Just get yourself to a point where you're good enough at endgames, and you'll start, like, taking whole points out of nowhere. You've won so many lost endgames. Yeah, people are terrible at endgames. So the real lesson here is learn your endgames. Learn your endgames. We should start doing more endgames on this stream. I love endgames. Endgames are my thing. Anyway, those are my 3 games. They had nothing in common. I just wanted to stream and hang out without preparing anything. I've started teaching, which is a lot of work and requires a lot of time and energy, so I don't have as much time and energy these days for streaming. However, I'm going to try and do a 45-45 league stream on Saturday. I don't know when exactly. I have to look and see when there are games scheduled. Hopefully that'll be on Saturday, sometime in the afternoon. Yeah. That's about it. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And hopefully I'll be back on Saturday with more content. Have a lovely 4 days, and I'll see you then.